everybody, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel. As you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be walking you through how we completely transformed our fireplace. So hopefully this video is helpful for you if you too are working on a fireplace remodel. And if you are new to the channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button and like the video if this was helpful for you. So our plan today is to take off the top of the fireplace. So right now, this is what the fireplace looks like. It used to have a floating shelf, but we took that off. So we want to take off the very top because the ceiling is not super high and we would like to possibly be able to put a TV up here. So the goal would be to get rid of this top little bar right here, this little piece right here up here, and get rid of that. So we think it's just sitting on top and glued with like cement or something. So you want to take that off, and then we want to remove it and then eventually build out a smaller wood mantle that would be a little bit thinner and would start basically right on top of the brick here, and then have that so that it's a little bit lower, but we can still have a nice mantle and be able to like hang stockings and all that kind of stuff on it. And then we would like to recover it, the entire thing, in, what's it called? Plaster, I think it's called, or stucco, whatever it's called exactly. But we want it to basically look like the rest of the wall, a little bit more of like a Spanish style home. Even though this home is not Spanish style, I do like that type of fireplace. And then also for down here, because they have these two kind of sturdier little pieces here, we're gonna build a wood box around it. Well, not wood, but I think wood covered in concrete is the plan right now. So to build out a whole kind of box around it, so we'd still be able to have people either sit on there, or be able to just kind of put stuff on there, like our fireplace accessories, be able to have, you know, like a little like fireplace cover and everything. And the reason for that too is because since the opening of the fireplace is lifted, we kind of have to have something there. Otherwise it's kind of just floating, which is a little bit strange. So that's the plan. So now we're going to remove the top part, see how easy that is, and go from there. Okay, so here it is without the top piece on. So now we're gonna go in and just clean up the rest of all this concrete piece so that it's completely flat to the top of the brick. Okay, so now we are going through and we're sanding down this kind of piece between the drywall and the rest of the wall. So this right here, because a big part of that is that there's like a little kind of like difference between the two of them. So we're trying to sand it down first, and then we're gonna spackle it to cover it. And then we're going to paint over that. And then you can see too, it's like when we were trying to chip off the top, we ended up hitting this brick a little bit. So we're gonna try to figure out how to reconnect this brick. I'm gonna use the cement stuff. But we can't get this little piece off here and this little piece off here towards the end, which stinks, but it should be fine. But again, we're just gonna go through and kind of clean up this whole kind of edge where the ledge used to be, or the mantle used to be. Spackle it down, and then we are going to just cover it with paint so it'll be the same color as the rest of the house. All right, so now we have sanded this down and completely flattened it, and then we covered it with spackle so you can kind of see the pink marks. This is where it's still wet, so we're just letting it dry. And once it's done, we're gonna hand sand it so you can get it as even as possible, like these couple spots and that kind of stuff. So completely sand that down and then just paint it to match the rest of the wall. So the stucco ended up drying for about a week straight, just because we didn't have time to come back to the house and finish that. So once we came back to the house, I went through and I sanded down the stucco to make sure it was completely smooth to the wall, and then started painting. And so we just used first a layer of primer, and then we used Simply White by Benjamin Moore, which is the same color as the rest of the house. So at this point, Jorge began building our lovely fireplace box out of wood. And so we wanted to use wood for the first kind of layer of it, and then use fire-safe bricks. That way, you know, for any reason, any kind of fire got out of the fireplace, that it would be able to be on top of not just wood, just in case. So Jorge drew out and sketched out a way to make a supportive block. And he just went through and drilled together all these pieces of wood, cut all of the wood, and started setting it up into this wood box. So in order to save some money for this project, we used some 2x8s from a previous project, and we were able to cut all of the pieces down to be able to be enough wood for all of the project again to be supportive and make this box without having to buy separate pieces of wood. And that way again we save some cash and also we're able to make a really strong structure. For the front of the fireplace box, we used actually cement board instead of using wood pieces. That way it would be something that was really strong and something that was completely flat, and later on when we were doing the stucco part of it, it would be able to adhere better to the cement rather than just to wood. So on top of the wood box, then we had a layer of just regular cement bricks. That way we were able to save again some additional money and not have to pay for the fire bricks for 2 full layers. But we put all of that in with mortar, and then the layer above that was all the fire bricks also laid in with mortar, and then the entire thing was covered all the way around with mortar as well. So we're now on to the stucco part of the fireplace. So Jorge went through and he added an adhesive to the brick. And that way it'll help the stucco stick a little bit better, even though this is already textured. We put it on just in case. So you can see there's kind of a brushed stuff on there. And so we put it all over the entire fireplace and then just put down some paper to cover the floor. So next up is stucco. So for each of the corners around the entire fireplace, we use these metal corner beads. That way that we would have really sharp corners and not have any kind of slouching or curved edges around the entire fireplace. All right, so we are done with the first layer of Structolite. So this took pretty much the full day to go through and add the layer on here and then also to add on all of these corners. So we're letting it dry for maybe 12 hours or a day and going through with a second coat of the Structolite. And so that'll be the same kind of color. So right now it looks kind of like concrete. We also did go through and we had a professional come and clean out the chimney. So before there was a lot of spider webs coming through the top because the fireplace wasn't properly closed. So we also had that done about a week or 2 ago. So now we can actually have the fireplace open and exposed to the room. We do eventually need to go through though and make sure it's up to code because we have not done that yet. So we don't plan on starting a fire in here for a while, but we at least want it to look done so that it looks good with the rest of the room. So to finish up the fireplace, Jorge went through and added a layer of finishing plaster. That way the texture would be completely flat and be very similar to the wall. So once that dried down, we let that dry down for a full day and then came back with some primer. And we just used the same primer that we used for our cabinets. And then we finished it off with 2 layers of White Dove by Benjamin Moore so it would match the walls. All right, so here is the final fireplace. Or close to final. There are still a couple little details we want to add to the fireplace overall once we're done, which includes adding a mantle to the top piece right here and then also an additional trim piece just to give it a little bit more of a width to the top so we can put up like stockings and have vases up there that are a little bit bigger than the one that we have up there right now. Overall, it looks really, really good and we're actually fine with keeping it like this for a little while before we add on those pieces. But it came out really nice, a lot better than we expected. We were really surprised by just how nice it ended up looking, and really, at least in our opinion, professional. So we're really happy overall with how it turned out. So we also have to go in and spray paint the inside of this black. And it will add a nice kind of pop and make the white really stand out. I personally prefer it to be this natural stone. However, we have these like little patches here because there was a crack on the inside of the fireplace. And so because of that, My husband doesn't want to have it with all of the patches exposed like that. So we're going to go ahead and spray paint the inside. There's also a little mark of paint right over here that you can see. But yeah, I would prefer to keep it its natural color. I think it actually makes the house look a lot warmer, but I think overall it'll look a little bit more finished if we don't see all that kind of patchwork on the inside. So all said and done, this project probably was about a 2-week project, but we ended up spreading it over around 3 months of time. And it cost us about $250 in total, and that does not include what we will end up spending on adding on the mantelpiece, but just the way it looks right now, that costs about $250. If you're looking for any of the products that we use, you can find the links below in the bio. And again, if this video was helpful for you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We'll be putting out more videos on our house projects soon. So thanks so much for watching.